Verse 40, Ulladhu narpadhu anubandam, supplement to 40 verses on reality given to us by Sri Ramana Maharshi. அகில வேதாந்த சித்தாந்த சாரத்தை அகம் உண்மையாக அறைவன் அகம் செத்து அகம் அதுவாகில் அறிவுருவாம் அகமதே மிச்சம் அறி. He is giving the conclusion. And the conclusion given in this anubandam is similar to the conclusion given in Ulladhu narpadhu. The 40th verses of both are similar in essence. Here he says, I am giving you the essence of all Vedanta and Siddhanta. Vedanta, you know, Vedanta says Tattvamasi, that thou art. And Siddhanta is nothing but the final declaration, experiential declaration or conclusion. He says, I am giving you the essence of all Vedanta and Siddhanta. Aham Sattu, Aham Aduvahil. If the ego has died, and if in that place, if Atma shines forth, Arivuruvam Avahamade Micham Ari. In that place there is a remnant. What is that remnant? It is the self, it is Brahman. It is pure awareness. It is pure consciousness. When we say pure consciousness, pure awareness, the other two words join to existence and bliss. And hence the remnant is existence, consciousness, bliss. Aham Sattu, the ego having died. This is Bhagavan's conclusion. He uses the word annihilation of ego. The same conclusion is given in the 40th verses of Ulladhu narpadhu. There he says, Aham Sattu, Aham Aduvahil, Arivuruvam Vahamade Micham Mari. I mean, in that he says, Ahandai Uru Adidal Mukti. Sorry. He says, if you think, what will be the ultimate state, Jnanam? Will it be with form, without form, or with and without form? He says, I am telling you the truth. The ego which analyzes, which does research on such subjects, when that ego itself dies, instead of doing research, the ego dies. Says Aham Sat. If the ego dies, Ahandai Uru Adidal Mukti. If it becomes, its form becomes destroyed, so to say, what is left is liberation. So it's very, very clear, as he said in Ulladhu narpadhu, Ahandai undayin anaithum undagum. In that he says, if ego pops up, everything pops up in your experience. If ego dies, nothing is there in your experience. So will we become brain dead after liberation, after attaining Jivan Mukti? Will we become brain dead? Will we forget all our pre-enlightenment experiences? No. Sri Bhagavan very clearly recollected all his experiences before enlightenment. So it becomes, the ego becomes like the daytime moon or a burnt rope. The ego is still there, seems to be there, but it has lost all vigor. It has lost, the strength. The minimum bodily functions, I think, carry on. And the ego, as we experienced by a normal person, is not there in the jnani. So when we do vicharam, atma vicharam, who am I? Who says I am this body? My thoughts. My thoughts depend on what? They all depend on the root thought, I am this body, I am Sentivel. Which is the birthplace of that I thought. We need to dive inside, go inside, turn the attention inside and look for the source of this I thought. When we seek the source of I thought, the I thought topples down. And where the I thought topples down, in the very same place, there is something experienced, a palpable sensation called Spurana. Spurana is a kind of feeling or pulsation, a sensation which is very subtle, which is neither the ego nor the self. It is something in between. He says Spurana is felt on several occasions, such as in fear, excitement, etc. Although it is always and all over, yet it is felt at a particular center on particular occasions. it is also associated with the antecedent causes and is confounded with the body. Whereas it is all alone and pure. It is the self. If the mind be fixed on the spurana and one senses it continuously and automatically, it is realization. The spurana, when it arises, when we do vicharam, a sort of sensation is experienced. If we keep our focus on that continuously, he says that will lead to realization. Again, spurana is the foretaste of realization. It is pure. The subject and object proceed from it. He says from that spurana, this triputi, this subject of who is experiencing things and the objects of experience and the process of experience itself, this is called triputi. So when the subject is nothing but I am the body thought, I am Santivel thought. So if the man mistakes himself for the subject, objects must necessarily appear different from him. They are periodically withdrawn and projected, creating the world and the subject's enjoyment of the same. Bhagavan does not say that the objective world, the body, the universe, they exist. He says no. Like how a spider emits its thread from its mouth, spins itself into a house and then withdraws. The same way, when the ego is sent out, it projects the world, the body. When it is withdrawn, nothing is there. Everything is withdrawn. What is left? The remnant is pure consciousness, Atma, Brahman. So he says, if on the other hand, the man feels himself to be the screen on which the subject and object are projected, there can be no confusion and he can remain watching their appearance and disappearance without any perturbation to the self. See, here he says, you are like the cinema screen. That is the final conclusion, awareness screen. So this is the path of discrimination. Drik Drishya. I am the seer, Sakshi, witness of all that is going on in the body and mind. Of course, the world or the universe, they are not independent of the mental experience. Everything is experienced here only. And so, you don't have to destroy the world, you don't have to destroy the body, you don't have to destroy the universe. They don't exist. How can we destroy something that does not exist? They exist because the ego exists. And so, we need to do vicharam, that's all. That is Bhagavan. Sri Bhagavan is equal to who am I? Am I this body? Who says that? Thoughts. What do they depend on? I thought. I am the body thought. Where does it spring from? The I thought? Brahman itself. Atma itself. So any given time, our ego is connected to Atma. The only problem is, it sticks out. It continues to exist. Lifetime after lifetime, simply because we have not done vicharam. Vicharam destroys the ego. All other methods, Sri Bhagavan says, they retain the ego. Be it karma path, selfless action path, or the yoga path, or the path of bhakti, devotion, they all retain the I thought. I do karma, I do yoga, I do bhakti, devotion. But in vicharam, yes, I do vicharam, but it is equal to uprooting the tree of the ego itself. That is the only difference between this path, jnana path, and all other paths. The path of knowledge. When you say knowledge, we should not imagine knowledge of physics, chemistry, language, etc. It is pure knowledge. He says, Aham Settu, Aham Aduvahil, Arivuruvama Vahamade Michamari. The ego dies, in its place Atma shines forth. What is the remnant? Pure knowledge. Knowledge of what? Of itself. There are two positions. Once ego has died, you might ask, who is there left behind to tell that I am Brahman? There are two positions. Shankara said, although the Brahman or Atman is everywhere in all things in the universe, it is not experienced. It is only experienced in the pure intellect, he says. This is one position. And in Devi Kalotram, Sri Bhagavan says, Tantanake Vedyamai. Atma, Vedyam is knowing. Atma knows itself through itself and by itself. That is the final conclusion. So the whole criterion is what? Giving up ego. And it calls for discrimination, discernment, and dispassion towards worldly things. If we have reached through many lifetimes that pakvam, that maturity where we no longer want to be embroiled in this system of birth and rebirth, we can extricate ourselves through Sri Bhagavan's teachings, through the practice of self-inquiry. Who am I? Every time a thought arises, Sri Bhagavan says, don't entertain the thought, don't engage the thought, just inquire. Yes, the thought is arising. Yes, to whom? To me. Who am I? That's all. It is simple, but it takes time. Sri Bhagavan says in Arunachala Akshara Manamalai, Vidu vittu irthu un veedu pukku payya un veedu kattinai Arunachala. Says, you drew me from home, you pulled me away from home, and you made me enter your home, which is nothing but Atman Brahman. He is addressing it to Arunachala, his guru, the mountain, and says, slowly you reveal your true nature to me. So let us understand, it is not an overnight process, it is a continuous process. It might happen in this lifetime with the Guru's grace, or we might continue for a few other lifetimes, we do not know. That is why surrender to the Guru. Guru's will is necessary, and the Guru will show the way. And our effort should continue. That's very, very important. Only if we make our efforts through Upasana will the Guru's grace come. Without doing anything, without making Upasana effort, nothing will happen. With all the intellectual knowledge, we will be born again and again. So we need to be honest to ourselves. Do I really want to liberate myself from this monstrous process of birth and rebirth? Yes, then let me do vichara. Who am I? Instead of scattering my attention on worldly things, let me turn inward and focus on the source of ego, and thus I'll realize my true nature. This is the conclusion. So the Ulladhu narpadhu conclusion and anubandam conclusion are the same. If the ego dies, the ego which does research on things, if it dies, what is left is liberation. And in this verse he says, if ego has died, in that place Atma shines forth. The remnant is pure consciousness or awareness or Brahman. This completes Ulladhu narpadhu, anubandam. These two granthas are enough for us. If we hear it out again and again, if we do reflection, and if we stay and abide in the self, I am sure we will get jnanam.